Okay guys, this is actually setting up the biped and the arm set mesh for people that are using version 4.0. Okay, first of all, you guys need to open up, import the 3ds file that I included in the package, the arm setup final.3ds. I'm going to completely replace the current scene and convert units. When we first start off, we'll notice that, well, it's not in good shape. The biped is all jacked up and there's shit flying all over the place. So we're going to have to clean that up. First, we're going to have to select all the biped stuff. You press H to get this dialog and then just select everything and hit this button. Once we got all that, we just delete it. Alright, first things first, we're going to have to fix the mesh. So once we select the arm set mesh, we hit hide unselected. We're going to have to fix the material among other things. Open up the material editor and go to the eyedropper tool and select the material off of this. And immediately we will get our material that it uses. First we'll see that this is here. We've got a material that's been renamed. We're going to have to fix that. So we come in here, we enable a material so we can see it in the viewport. Immediately you can see that right there. The second one, we're going to have to refind it. The EnviroHand.tga. Go to 3ds Max 5, Maps, and EnviroHand.tga. Open that, and go up one level, hit this, and then we'll get, it'll properly show up. And then right here we just enable that so it works, so you can see it in the viewport and we can work on it. That should be it for the material, I think, for now. So we'll go ahead and close that. Now we need to fix up the vertices and all the extra polygons that are created when the 3ds file is created. We're going to convert this to editable poly mode, enter vertex mode, hit Control A to get all the vertices. As you can already see, it's about 1,326. That's a lot when it should only be around 300. So once we got all those selected, we could just right click, go click weld, this little box right here, and what we want to do is set a welding radius of 0.01. That works about fine. See, there's a dramatic decrease in the vertices, and it welds all the extra ones that are created on top of each other. Once we got that, we go back, reset our X form. This is vital. Collapse that. Center the pivot point. Align it to the world. And that should be it for the mesh for now. So we can unhide everything. And then hide the arm set. Now we're going to have to clean up the bones. As I explained earlier, when you export a 3ds file, it creates a ton of extra vertices and faces on the files. It did the same thing to these bones, but we don't have to clean them up because Red Faction doesn't actually render these bones. They're just there for reference. And I don't really have the patience for that kind of crap right now, so we're just going to go ahead and rename them. First we're going to start off fixing up the right hand by renaming it properly. So we're going to go ahead and start doing that. Arm lower, lower, hand. Actually, I think this would be easier if we just go on a top view and select them that way. Hand, thumb 1, and thumb 2. Pinky 1, Pinky 2, Pinky 3, ring. Oops, typo. All one, copy. I'm just going to go ahead and do this same thing to all the rest of the bones so we get properly named, because exporting to 3ds format screws everything up. Make sure we got the thumb. Okay. Thank God that it preserved the pivot points of the objects so they rotate properly, and it also preserved the links, which is a good thing as well. The root is fine. Now we're going to go ahead and start renaming the left arm. Point to 1, 0.02, 0.03. Okay, now we got everything renamed, and it should function properly. Let's hope so. Okay, good. Now we need to recreate the biped, since it got all jacked up on exporting. So we're going to have to create a new biped by coming here to the create panel and then the utilities or systems panel. Create a biped. It needs to be a height of 90 or around 90. So create the biped. We'll choose it, or choose any part of it. Actually, doesn't really matter. Come to the motion tab. We need to turn this figure mode on, otherwise it won't work properly. This is extremely vital when we're setting up the biped. So we turn on figure mode. We go to structure. We give it everything it needs, and we take away the things that it definitely doesn't need. It doesn't need spine links, no neck links, leg links. Let's see, 5 fingers, finger links, 3 finger links, no toes, toe links 0, and let's see, height, we need to change that to 90. Okay, once we got this set up, we could move it into place where we need it. Oh, that's right. You cannot move the biped if you select the pelvis. You need to actually select the root. So we hide that, and this is a root right here. We can move it like this. Let's see if we could reset it to the center of the world. Not that. Okay, that's weird. Resetting these spinners don't even work. So we're just going to have to get it as close as possible. That's about right. And then we just move it down further so the shoulders sort of meet up with our arms. Right around there. And then I'll line it up perfectly. There we go. Now we're going to grab the one arm I suggest you take the left one and work along this with me. And we'll try to straighten this out as straight as possible. And then we'll move this into place right around here. The pivot points for these arms must match up to the structure of the bones or the mesh, or very close. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be pretty close. As you can see right here, it's already too long, and it doesn't quite match up. The pivot points need to be close but not perfect. So you can click right here. See, the pivot point is right here, right around here. And we could click this object. See, it's pretty close, but it's not exact, and that's fine. We'll click the arm set mesh and just move that out of the way for now, so it's not in the way. Right here. Okay, and then the pivot point for this one is right here, but the pivot point for this is a little too far off. So we come here and we scale this larger, so it's a little bit more exact. Let's go into side mode, make sure it's straightened out. Actually, this doesn't line up, so we're going to have to scale this too. Scale this a little shorter like that, and a little longer, so get the fingers a little closer to where we want them to be. And now we got to scale each finger to fit. Oh, what the hell did I just do? Okay. So I move these into place, scale them properly. The size of this end bone doesn't matter because this isn't linked to anything else and there's no pivot point on this end. So we're just going to scale it anyway because I want it to be clean. And rotate it so it's properly in place. Do this to the same, these other ones too. That looks about right. Now we got them in position in the top view. Oh shit. Undo that view change. We got them in position on the top viewport. Now we got to line them up down here. Well, they already look to be in place. Let's move them up and down a little bit just to make sure. You might want to center them a little bit more so it doesn't look too pretty. There we go. Okay, now for the thumb is a little bit different. This is a whole separate object and it's positioned differently. First we got to rotate it. Check for the rotation, okay. Now we're going to have to align it to this one right here, the real thumb bone. So we come over here to align mode, just select all these, tick all these boxes right here, turn pivot point, and all rotation, and press apply. Okay. Now what we want to do is rotate this and move it in position so it's more closely accurately resembles the bone structure right here. Just tilt it a little bit. And I'm not entirely sure, but it looks like it might be too short. It is too short. So we're going to have to select this bone up here and scale it a little bit larger. Just scale this, and this doesn't really matter. Just turn it real short. Get that out of the way. You can hide that bone temporarily and make sure. And that looks about proper for now. Okay, that looks, I think we're about done setting up the biped for our arm. Now, the cool feature of the biped, at least, is we get to duplicate the posture of one side to the other side, so we don't have to do the whole other arm. Come right here down to the keyframing tab, and then we'll click right here twice to select the whole root, so it's got everything all the way up to the tip. And then we just hit this button right here to copy the posture, and then we paste it to the opposite side. It's this button right here. If you hold the mouse over it, it'll tell you what it's for. And then once we got that, boom, look at instant placement. Now, when I duplicated this arm to the other side, it isn't exact spacing distance from the center of the world, so it's off a little bit. You can already see right here. So we're going to have to move it back a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. Looks right dead on almost. Go right there for safe. Just to be safe. And that's about it for setting up the biped. Do not exit figure mode until you are completely done with the model. Let's move this over here. And let's see, I think that's about it for setting up the biped. If you had to do this in version 4.0, if you had to use the 3ds file. And then once you're done, make sure you save it, because the file I included is not compatible with version 4.0. Let me just save this. Make sure you save it as 4.0 so you know that's for your version, and hit save. And that should be it for setting up the biped. Unless I'm forgetting something, I hope not. Yeah, that seems to be it.